In this video, I'm going to break down and share with you 10 of the most important laws from the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, and show you how to use and apply these laws to start or grow your business faster than ever before. Starting with law number 23, focus your efforts. One of the biggest challenges that entrepreneurs and business owners face today isn't a lack of opportunity, but rather the fact that there's way too many seemingly good opportunities in front of you. The problem, though, is that you only have so much energy and attention available, and the more you split it up by going after a dozen different things, the less likely you are to make progress or succeed on any one of them. I want you to imagine for a second that at the beginning of every day, you get 10 blocks of power, which are made up of your time and energy. Now, you can go and do what most people do, which is to divide them up evenly and make a barely noticeable level of progress on 10 different things. Or you can focus and stack them all together and make a significant level of progress in your most important area towards your most important goal. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius knew this as well when he wrote about it in his Meditations, saying, "Concentrate every minute like a Roman, on doing what's in front of you, and on freeing yourself from all other distractions." The point is that you only have so much time and energy, so make sure you're using it well by focusing on your most important work. And one of the fastest ways to clear up your time and to gain more focus and clarity is simply by removing all of the negative inputs and people from your life, and that's what law number 10 is all about. Law number 10 says that misery is contagious, and you need to avoid it like the plague. And if you've ever been around a miserable person, then you know how true this is, and misery loves company, so breaking free is going to be hard, but you can, and you have to do it. The fact is that starting a business, growing a company, or doing anything worthwhile or difficult is going to require you to level up your thinking and level up your strategies and level up your network. There's an expression that says you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if that's the case, then clearly you want to spend at least as much time and energy and effort into planning and cultivating your social circle and your network as you do your business. So on the topic of planning, let's talk about law number 29 next, which is plan through the end. There's an old quote by Benjamin Franklin that says, "By failing to plan, you are preparing to fail." And if you've ever looked back at the end of a long day and just thought to yourself, have I done anything worthwhile at all? Like, for real, have I accomplished anything? Or did I just spend the entire day in and out of email, bouncing back and forth between meetings and checking social media? No? Well, if that's the case, you're not alone. And the solution or antidote to this is to plan. Plan everything, as much as possible. Now, when it comes to planning out your business and your marketing, the strategy that I recommend you use is called the Marketing Master Plan. So I'll make sure to link that up in the descriptions below, or you can download a copy for absolutely free. As far as planning your day is concerned, the best quote here is by Jim Rohn that says, "Never start your day until you have it finished." Meaning essentially that you've planned out your entire day, hour to hour, and making sure that you've prioritized and scheduled your most important work and the most important things that you actually want to work on. The alternative to all of this is to just show up randomly and constantly reacting to other people's wants and goals and demands on you and your time. Kind of like an unanchored boat, just tossing in the waves with no direction and no port to sail to. That sounded very poetic. But the result of this is either getting lost at sea or smashing on the rocks somewhere. Now, I appreciate no plan is perfect, as the expression by Helmuth von Moltke goes, "No plan survives first contact with the enemy." Or, as Mike Tyson less eloquently but more modernly put it, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. This is why the next rule that will help you in business is law number 36, ignore small problems. I feel like I'm on a roll with the quotes today, so let me share another I love, which is an old astronaut saying popularized by the great Canadian astronaut Chris Hadfield that goes, "There is no problem so bad you can't make it worse." This is why often the best thing to do when you're faced with a problem is simply to take a step back, take a few deep breaths, and give it some space before diving in blindly and making things worse. Or, as the saying goes, don't make a mountain out of a molehill. Back when I used to be a pilot, I remember my flight instructors telling me that the first thing you should do whenever you have an emergency is to wind your watch. Essentially, the idea here is that there's almost nothing that requires an instant response or instantaneous reaction from the pilot. You're usually much better off to take a deep breath and accurately assess the situation before executing a solution. And as an entrepreneur or business owner, you're faced with difficult decisions and situations and people every single day. And this is where law number 28 comes in, act boldly. Speaking personally, building up my decision-making muscle and being able to confidently make decisions was not something that came easy to me, something I had to work on. But the fact is, if other people are looking to you to lead them and to guide them and to provide direction, well, you do need to be able to not only make decisions, but to act confidently and essentially charge ahead into the unknown. The trick trick I found here is to start small with really tiny baby steps. The advice that changed everything for me was actually really small, and it was simply the next time I was out at a restaurant, I needed to pick something off the menu within 10 seconds, and then I wasn't allowed to change my mind. Now, I appreciate it. Sounds silly, almost too small to matter, but the fact that I was now able to make these confident decisions and realize that everything turned out okay, well, it started to spill over into other areas of my life. And making bigger and more important decisions started to become almost automatic and happen instantaneously. And if you make mistakes, which you surely will at some point, correct them with even more boldness by being accountable to what happened and making a commitment to get things back on track. For example, a decision you could make right now would be to say subscribe to the channel to make sure that you always have the latest and greatest information on business and marketing. The expression I love here is fortune favors the bold, which comes from the Latin phrase fortis fortuna adiovet, which I'm pretty sure I said wrong. Acting boldly brings admiration and power and actually makes you more confident in return. Not to mention, nobody wants to follow a weak leader into battle. But you can take this even further and get even more people to follow you and be attracted to you, your message, or your business by following law number 6. And that is to focus on attracting more attention. There's a truth I find myself repeating a lot to anyone that's struggling to build or grow their business, and that is that nobody can buy from you if they don't know you exist. It sounds obvious, but you'd be amazed at how few entrepreneurs really understand and embrace this fact. If you want to start, grow, or scale a business, then you need customers. And the first stage of getting someone to buy is getting them to first pay attention. And attention, especially today, is one of the most valuable commodities around. And everybody is fighting for it, which means that you need to fight harder and smarter. Fortunately, this is what good marketing is all about. Capturing attention by being relevant and relatable, or outrageous and untouchable, or maybe mysterious and a little bit magical. Every brand and every business out there is completely different, but one thing remains the same. If you want people to buy from you, you need to make sure that they know that you exist. Now, you may have heard that any attention is good attention and there's no such thing as bad attention. Well, that's not necessarily true, because there's a fine line here that you never want to cross, especially if it's going to lead to any chance of damaging your reputation. And that's what law number 5, guard your reputation, is all about. In your business career, there's going to be a point where you're presented with 2 different options. This could come in the form of working with a client that you don't really like or that doesn't respect you, could be offering a product or service that you don't really believe in all that much, or it could be failing to focus on the important things in favor of the urgent, or in other words, putting off saving money or investing back into your business in favor of pulling the money out and spending it now. To the left will be the fast money, the quick win, the short-term path that'll put cash in your pocket today, but at the expense of making a few trade-offs to your overall long-term plan and growth. To the right is the plan that you set out to from the beginning. It's longer, it looks a little bit harder, at least right now, and the future is uncertain, but you know that this is the smarter long-term play. The key here is to always try to make your decisions from the point of view of the person that you would like to be or would like to be perceived as. Or to put it another way, try to clearly identify the kind of person and the kind of business that you want to be and want to have, and want to run, and then never sacrifice or compromise your integrity or your ethics or your vision. Ever. Powerful people and powerful brands, they guard and protect their reputation like it's the most important thing, because it's kind of the most important thing, and it gives you an incredible amount of power to influence and to persuade. Not to mention, having a good reputation makes pretty much everything else that you're going to do in business and in marketing way more effective and way more believable, because you're going to have way more trust. Of course, your reputation isn't really just about you. Rather, it's more about how your reputation is going to be able to help other people. So let me show you exactly what I mean now by talking about law number 13, show others what's in it for them. Here's an interesting thing to keep in mind. The single most important person in the entire world to your customers is them. This is why the fastest way to kill your business is to make your messaging and your marketing and your entire value proposition about you, rather than about them, your customer. Their problems, their pains, their fears, their frustrations. Not to mention their wants and their goals and their dreams and their desires. Sadly, I see this every day. Businesses making their marketing and their websites and their social media and all of their content about just how great they are and how special they are and how everyone should want to work with them, rather than flipping it around and talking about how great their customers are, how much their customers can and do benefit from their business, and going to great lengths to make the buying experience and the delivery and essentially the entire business all about the customer. Now, this is really just marketing 101, being empathetic and understanding your customers customers, and always keeping in mind WIIFM, or what's in it for me, from the customer's perspective, of course. When you appeal to a person's self-interest and you show them how they're going to be better off after having done business with you, they'll come back again and again, and they'll tell all their friends. And if you get this next law right, well, they'll not only want to come back, they'll have to. Which is why the author of the 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene, believes the next law, Law 11, which is to be needed, is the most powerful and most important law of all. So let's hear what he has to say on it.
One of the laws is, I think, the most important. I can't remember the exact title of it, but it's basically make people dependent on you. So you don't want to appeal to people's love, to the fact that they like you. You want to appeal to the fact that they need you.
Essentially, the more other people rely on you, and to the greater degree that they do, well, the more power you have, because they couldn't replace you even if they wanted to. Now, this isn't an excuse to just go out there and become super valuable so you can treat people terribly and they'll never be able to get rid of you. But it is an important reminder that you will be rewarded and compensated in direct proportion to the amount of value you provide, as well as with the ease of which someone could replace you. In other words, if you're the best at something and you're not going to necessarily be very easy to replace, you become incredibly important and valuable, and therefore irreplaceable. And this applies whether you're a person or a business providing some kind of product or service. So the next question then is, how do you achieve this irreplaceable status? And to answer that, you need to focus on giving more than receiving. So let me share that with you now, covering law number 40, despise the free lunch. I'm sure you've heard the expression before, how there's no such thing as a free lunch. Essentially, it's just saying that free doesn't really exist and everything has a cost, as even free comes attached with often implied or subconscious or cultural obligations. Robert Cialdini wrote about this in his book Influence, where he covered what is called the reciprocity principle in a lot more detail. But essentially, the principle of reciprocity says how we as humans are essentially hardwired to want to repay debts and to return favors. Or to put it another way, we want to treat others how we've been treated, which means if we receive something, we've got to find a way to give it back, or we feel uncomfortable and kind of unnatural. One might even say, icky. And you can use and leverage this in your business to build a tremendous amount of goodwill and trust and power. First, by being very careful about what favors you accept from other people and other businesses. And next, by being strategic and insanely generous about the amount of value and help and information that you give away in order to help other people. Not to mention making sure that the way that you deliver this information is packaged in the right way, which is what marketing is all about. So to help you with that, I've linked up a video right here with 7 of my most effective marketing strategies. So make sure to check it out now, and I'll see you in the next video. Logical phenomenon that says we as people, as humans, we associate frequency with trust. So the more often that we show up in front of people, the more often that they see us, the more they know us, the more they like